We are back to covering some of the NU games from the BLT tournament. I believe these are week 5 games. Got some very interesting things to take note from here. Some very peculiar sets. Peculiar. How do you say that word? Like that? Sure. That I want to draw some attention to because I think they're just really interesting and they've gotten a little bit of discussion. So there's something to actually say about them. Hope y'all enjoy this type of content. Of course, if you do, make sure you subscribe if not already subscribed. We get you daily competitive content, whether it's tournament analysis, whether it's showdown lives, or some other third thing that I feel like uploading. So you know what? Help me get to my 10k end of the year goal. Together, we will form the strongest coalition of lower tier players imaginable. They cannot stop us. You may run, you may hide. You will find no salvation. Like I said, got BLT games. They got 4 of them for y'all. Very interesting teams. Some repeats, like I know this team we actually saw used in NUPL. This one literally this week we saw used in NUPL. Yeah, I speak in NUPL. This team I just swore I've seen somewhere before. It is terribly hideous, but Skier Dude is a little bit of a cook demon. Interesting teams here. This is a very funny replay. Y'all aren't ready. But even more funny replay. First game, Stories versus Danny. Again, 2 of our Gen 8 superstars, I would say, to come out of Sword and Shield NU. Consistently have been doing great in tournaments. Very good friends, so they meet once again in a tour. And they're both scum. They're both absolute scum, bringing grassy terrain. Or as Uberfiend would call it, assy tertian. Shouts to homie. This is a very interesting game because when you have HO like this, particularly something that's nearly a mirror matchup, it's kind of all about winning first, and you need to have momentum on your side. And this is going to be key here for a set I want to talk about. It's really all about who can set up first, and then if you set up first, does your opponent have any way to respond? If not, you're looking incredible, because you're probably going to be able to regain momentum and take the game over. Here, of course, the teams are very similar. Wacky, Grafii, Flygon, and then just different abusers, right? So, Danny opted for Mew and Orticora Pom-Pom, whereas Stories opted for a Hitmonlee and an Articuno, and they each have just a filler slot with the Basket Legion over here to help check, presumably, Rain a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, I think the Legion is just here for, like, being strong and annoying to check. Like, switch into, the Mon is very, very strong. And then a Klefki here, because hazards are always good. So we get into this game. Immediately we have a good old Texas showdown here, just a staring contest between 2 Flygons. And Stories is a little bit better than Danny, you see here, as she wins the speed tie, ejects out with her Flygon into the Thwacky, sets up the terrain for each side, because a nice user, I guess. Grafia comes out, and here again, you see the whole point of, depending on who sets up first, the game could go swing really hard one way. Potentially, in some games, this Flygon sack turn 1 is, like, actually good with what Stories went to. She went Thwacky, and you got Grafia, you literally get the SD up for free. Unfortunately, it's not one of those games, because this Klefki comes out and is Endure. Obviously, she endured there because you don't want to risk, like, random Terra Blast ground out of Grafia that would pack this thing up, and I think it would actually just... It wouldn't be over, I guess. There would be, like, a wacky Grassy Glide still, but it would be a little bit of a not great spot to lose your keys that early. Probably wouldn't be the end of the world, honestly, but this just guarantees, no matter what, that you get to force it out. And again, this is where talk about getting momentum comes back in. As you force that Mon out, you now have a ton of momentum because Mew came out. That doesn't want to stay in, so Mew had to burn its seed and switch. Or Oricorio has to come in and burn its seed. You've literally gotten rid of all the grassy seeds already. So Grafia is the response here. Oricorio does not beat it down with just one Quiver Dance. And Danny here makes a very, very interesting swap here. And I say it doesn't beat it down with just one Quiver. That's kind of just assuming it's not Terra Ground Revelation. That would have destroyed it here. But Danny panics a little bit hard here, as you're going to see in chat. And he switches because he was scared of Taunt or Encore here. Like you said, just something. And so he switches out, respecting the threat of the utility moves a little too much. And yeah, this Grafai just kind of goes stupid. Now, there was some hope here. Danny dropped a GG in chat thinking he had lost, but he actually dodges Gunk Shot twice, which is really funny. Because if this Oricorio had been flying move, there was a real shot that Danny won the game here. Unfortunately, he's taunt mono revelation dance, and as a result, he cannot do anything here. And yeah, a little unfortunate, but I want to talk a little bit about a key set because I think it's really cool tech on these types of offenses where, again, you want to talk about how you win in an offense-offense matchup. Momentum, 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 momentum. Story's got the momentum by forcing out the Grafai, bringing in a mon that did not want to did not want to face off against the keys, forced another switch, was able to just get a lot of mileage on those turns. Shoutouts to her bringing the set. I've seen it a little bit. Seen it talked about a little bit in certain circles as well. Pretty cool. Then we get game 2. And Wadley's got, I hesitate to call it a standard balanced build because it's anything but standard, but it is a bit more of a balanced build, leans a little bit more offensive, but kind of hard to call a team with an Alolan Muck offense, you know? It technically can be, but a little bit iffy. Shoutouts Mew more. Meanwhile, over here by Ming, my thoughts on preview were kind of like, I don't know what this team is doing. And that's not to call the team bad, but instead to say, I don't know what the team's end goal is. Like, here's what I'm looking at when I see this team. I see multiple utility Pokemon all slapped onto one build with no real direction to go. Like, what is your win con here? Because this Crocodile isn't Scarf, and I didn't think it was Scarf based on preview just because you have the 3 flyers that are all really fast. So the Kirk isn't Scarfed. The Talon's... I mean, the Talon, like, technically could be Bulk Up. But, I mean, I just feel like Noivern's more likely to be the mon that's, non-default. So I think you're going to be default Talon. But it's like, okay, are you Specs Noivern plus Plume? Is the idea where you're, like, Growth Vileplume? And then you just try to growth up and beat teams down, utilizing Specs Noivern's Steel Chunking ability, and then just all the knockoff spam you could get from Crocodile, Alolan Muck, Thundurus? That's really the best I had. And as we look at, like, again, like, I don't know. I really just don't have a lot to say about this team other than I'm not sure the direction you try to go here. It's just kind of, you're taking this team and you're trying to say that you're going to outlast, but I don't know how well it actually outlasts, generally speaking, either, right? And when we look at Wadley's team, there's a little bit more direction because you've got, like, Lucario. So, I mean, literally, this Mon learns a setup move and is a sweeper. Like, there is a defined Mon that is going to try to win. Mew as well. Mew can break, it can sweep, you got that. This could be Scarf Basculegion, technically. That could be a win con just to have around late. It's a fast mon that there's at least some shared overlap in check between Legion and Luke. I mean, that could be an angle. Luke could even, like, get rid of Talon, for example, and then Legion doesn't have to worry about getting burned. It can exploit Vileplume really well. That's good for Legion. There's, like, you look at the team difference right there, and you already see one team is just naturally more prepped to go into a game with an idea of what you want to do, what you want to aim for. Whereas with Ming's team here, I'm just really not sure that that's the case. So, we get into this game. Talon led with, it's pretty good into this team. Really, your response is always going to have to be the mirror. As you see, Wadley does immediately want to bring this out. And you're going to see a bit of exchanging of Brave Birds and Roosts. I'm going to just skip past this because it doesn't really matter. Good Thunder switch here, just to get it out, because now you get a free knock. And the Flygon comes out, and I remember at preview thinking this probably wasn't going to be Scarfed, and I did end up validated. This is Earth Plate. And we see Ming take a little bit of chip. U-turns on out. Rocks would have been good, but it is what it is. Muck now can come out as we see Volt Switch from the Thundurus. This is a free knock onto the Crook. Potentially get a poison. Unfortunately, Wadley does not. But knocking this thing's lefties is good. As Flygon's the response once again. We do see a very nice read from here. I liked that knock. Liked it a lot. So now Talon comes out. And we're going to see again just the mirror. Because Talon Flame Gaming. Yay. As an aside for y'all real quick. We're doing a VR vote right now. And Talon Flame's like rising from A- to A+ or something. Yeah, it is reasserted itself as the speed goat, put it lightly. So Muck comes out now, really just looking to knock this thing's boots, maybe get a poison. Trying to take some ease off your Talonflame so that you aren't forced into those constant sequences, as Jab's actually what comes out looking for the poison. You don't end up getting it. Bring out the Talon, it gets knocked, but you get a burn on Crook, which is still good. You can roost here if you really want. Unfortunately, Ming makes another really good play and quakes. So remember, everything I said at the start of the game. Ming's goal is to outlast you. And if Ming's gonna make these good predictions with the Crocodile versus mons like Flygon, mons like Talonflame, that's very possible. I mean, you've taken out 2 of the utility demons. So, I mean, this is a really good start. It's just, okay, what do you do now? Because where am I going with this? What am I sweeping with? So, Mew comes out now. He doesn't want to knock this because it could be weakness policy. And I know as I say this, I don't remember how policy works versus knockoff. Leave me alone. Maybe it gets knocked off, maybe it's activated. I don't know. I've only been playing competitive Pokemon for 12 years. So I'm pretty new to the game, leave me alone. It's actually been longer. Oh god, it's been closer to 13. Put me out of my misery. Anyhow, Mew comes out, Crook swaps, Muck comes in, swap again because you don't really want to trade yet. Clear Smog, by the way. Very rude. Very rude. But of course, Wily wants to preserve the Mew because he's a little bit behind. Preserve what you can. So rocks go up. Muck's just gonna keep hitting Crocodile. You try to get what ground back you can get. As Wily's able to very aggressively play his Muck for a few turns here, slowly beating down the Crocodile. Very successfully. Goes Legion on a predicted Quake here. Ends up tanking it very, very nicely, and now you can just flip turn. And the nice thing too about flip, you don't really care if Plume comes out. Okay, well, he doesn't flip yet. Okay, he never flips. He goes Muck. Regardless, nice thing about Plume coming out is you have multiple mons that can switch into it. You've got both Lucario and Muck. So this isn't even really, like, a bad matchup for you. So Muck is, of course, not going to really 1v1 this, but it's at least something that you can pivot into, rest off, and it, you're not going to get killed by the Plume. You're able to knock the helmet, just make it a little bit less punishing now for Legion later on, and you feel pretty okay. Legion comes back in. And all that I said about Legion not being punished as much, it's kind of moot, because the whole point of this Legion switch is actually to generate a free in for the Lucario. As you see, a flip turn here does 1,000,000. Luke can now come out. It's a little risky. You have to remember, Alolan Muck can be Drain Punch, but the Lucario comes out here. Swords Dances, and this is the response. This is not a good response. It's why I like Terra Ghost on Talon, just as an aside. Terra Ghost Talon is a good Lucario answer, because I can Terrastalize, completely blank the E-Speed, and get a burn. Poison's another really common one, so it may not even be Ghost here, but Plume as a response is just not going to work. And you're going to see why very quickly, because the Strength Sap, okay, I'm boosting with Swords Dance, my guy. As Story's being very toxic in chat, I will be banning you from all of Pokemon Showdown. But this Plume doesn't do anything. And I think you're seeing now why I called this a very funny game. Luke, Terra Normal E-Speeds here, smokes that Talon's pack. It does get burned, but it's Lumberry Lucario. And yeah, Inner Focus, you can't even try to intimidate. So he goes into this, trying to force a contact move to get effects for it. Doesn't work. E-Speed will out-priority any random T-Wave if it had that for some reason. Northern Terra Fairies, maybe this was Specs. We'll never know. Terra Fairy, though, to resist the E-Speed is pretty smart. Yeah. This is why I call this game very funny. It looked like Wadley was just going to get beaten in the long term because he was getting plays incorrect. And then Lucario came out, decided, you know what? I want to win now. So that's cool. Anyhow, now to this game. So, if I'm remembering stuff right, this was a Team Skier dude used in NUPL, I think in week 2. And it's defog, like defensive Hisui Decid. It may not even be defog, I just know it's defensive. It's non-AV Reuni, it's like a life orb. It's Scarf Inteleon and like Specs Toxed. Now I'm honestly kind of wondering if the set was changed, because this should be AV, right? Like, look at the team, be AV. And that kind of is something you see manifest in this matchup, right? Look at all these special attackers, man. Where's my AV Reuni to check them? Oh my lord. So this is what Stresh brought this week in UPL. I believe tier assets person that actually built the team. And you got OTR DNC, OTR Uni, Lead Lycan with Stealth Rock, Scarf PZ, Quiver Lefties, Pom Pom, and SD Luke. I mean, overall, I do see the path to win, right? There's no real special tank on this team to tank hits. And you have 4 special sweepers. They're just going to overwhelm this team, I think, long term. DNC in particular is really scary because under Trick Room, it just needs Pert kind of weakened and it can go to town. Talon is the best response from there once Meteor Beam has been burned. And I'm going to be honest, I will charge up that Meteor Beam to hit you the next turn. I'll get +2, and then I'll 2-shot you with Moonblast. And then you don't really stall me as well anymore. And once that Trick Room runs out, oh no, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to set it right back. So I feel like Axertix rolled literally the God matchup. The, one thing to be worried about is maybe Toxtricity running you down. Because the team isn't super adept at one-shotting it. Like, you don't actually have super effective coverage that it cares about other than, DNC Earth Power. Because DNC could tank a hit. Otherwise, Reuniclus is getting folded up by a Terranormal Boom Burst. PZ, I guess, could one-shot you with Tri Attack. Since it is Scarf. So there's that. But, I don't know. Maybe I'm not respecting that enough. PZ, this is, the best PZ matchup I've ever seen. No normal check of any kind, and it's not even AV Reuni. But, like I said, I think Tox is maybe the closest thing to threatening this team. Let's see. So, naturally, when you have a lead, like Sash Lycan, you lead with it. Rocks go up first. I think the reason he didn't taunt, by the way, is he just didn't want to let flip turn happen, and then he would not get rocks. We would have gotten flipped on, Intel would have come out, and it would have U-turned. That still ends up happening, but instead, he gets rocks up, and he gets a CC off, and he gets an Accelerock off. So Lycanroc did even more than you could have hoped for. So PZ comes out now, dumps the trick, just deciding he doesn't really need the speed. Ends up tanking a hit as a result of that trick. Dumps the Scarf under Reuniclus, so this mod is now very, very worthless. And he gets a lot of chip. So now his own Reuni can come out. You may think this is bad for Axertix, by the way, being down 2 mons already while everything else over here is full. But what's important to note is Pert is in range of +2 Luke. Inteleon is super in range of just any E-speed ever now. And Reuniclus is essentially a dead mon with the Scarf tricked onto it. So it's in a fine spot. Reuniclus gets the Trick Room up, and then we see a bit of an unfortunate play here. Not even though really play, but so much as an unfortunate turn, because he roared here, and he brought in the other Trick Room mon. So now DeAnza gets to come out. He doesn't need to Meteor Beam yet. It's better to save it. His Toxtricity comes out, that's a mon you'd Meteor Beam maybe, right? He ends up beaming here. Kind of a waste, but at the end of the day, it's not even a waste, because you just wanted the boost, and you also landed. So now the Sid comes out. I just want everyone to know, by the way, I Earth Powered on this turn, because I'm a goat like that, and I knew there was a threat of Terra Poison, so I would have Earth Powered predicting the Terra. Now, it would not have been the predict I thought I was supposed to be making, but hey man, I cooked. With a Moonblast special attack drop is still really good, and in some ways this is actually a better result because it means you get Trick Room back up. And now, again, what's he supposed to do? Personally, I think Meteor Beaming here is okay to do, but as you see here, the U-turn would have made that play pretty bad. The Sid comes out, and now Meteor Beam, unfortunately, is not what comes out. That turn, I believe, Axertix did predict a defensive Terrastalize, whether it was Steel or Poison. It kind of ended up wasting some room turns, but ends up being okay. The Surf will KO you, but you've got plenty of responses. The Karina comes out. E-Speed will be picking up a KO. As he goes for it here, the Sid comes out now, but it's not really a big deal. You just can CC that. You're really just looking to hit whatever's in front of you at this point. That's the way you're gonna win. As the Sid comes back out, Pom Pom can enter the field. You can just look for quivers now. As you see, unfortunately for the Pom Pom though, one's actually kind of a threat. Triple Arrows is a very broken move, so he can't really keep stalling, and he misses a Hurricane. So out of nowhere, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Ravna? I don't know. Out of nowhere though, he's actually able to make a little bit of progress back, but fortunately for Axertix, he does have Reuniclus to tank these arrows. get flinched there, knocked here. I would have roomed, but it literally does not matter. Room does not matter here because you just psychic spam, and if he roosts, dead. Very well done by Axertix. I think this game was just really a good showcase of there's nothing to take a special attack on this team. So this team will be folded by special attackers. Very nicely done. And the last game, this is a fun matchup because it's two of Inyu's best contributors, Skiradude and Shinjin. Shouts to Shinjin. It's also one of the most unfortunate games I've ever seen for a couple reasons. One, Shinjin gets a little bit blasted by some hacks. I do think he had routes to take to minimize it, but I don't think they were great. I'll describe a little bit more when they happen, what I would have done, but all things considered, I don't think my sequence is like necessarily a lot better. I think it's just a rough matchup partly. Like look at this team, bro. Look at this Mew. Nasty Plot Mew obliterates this team. As Aviary Nicholas is only going to do so much. And Crocodile is, you know, it's Crocodile. It struggles a bit versus Mew with those terastallized turns. You really got to think on them. So we can look at the teams, and it's like, is HO versus bulky offense. And not even bulky offense. This is like fat. I don't even want to call this balanced. This is closer to fat than anything. You just got two, like, kind of strong mons here. God, why is there this Tentacruel? It's throwing me off so much. I really feel like at the end of the day, there's not a lot Shinjin has other than hoping for the best melodic positioning, like, consistently. And even then, it's like, Mew sets up, I don't know what you do. So as we get into this game here, you see the Shao led with U-turns into Noivern, because I think he was just kind of scared of what this thing had. You see Mental Herb. So it ends up being confirmed a lead set. Noivern misses Hurricane here. And I will say this is actually kind of on Fortnite. This is worse. You turned and gave the policy because now Milo comes out. As this plots, you can't really risk staying in here because stored power, right? You don't know yet if it's stored power, so you have to swap Crook. You see it's Psychic Noise instead, which, okay, maybe a little more playable. Swaps to Plume. Ends up having to sack this to 2 hits. Then a play comes out that I really don't like. He went Noivern? This Terra Fairy'd? I don't know if you needed to Terra Fairy. Like, just full disclosure, I'm not sure if you needed to Terra Fairy here. I want to calc this real quick. Just to see how much it did to Noivern. Yeah, this almost always one-shot. No, it didn't. You almost never one-shot. So maybe Terra Fairy was worth it, but it's only if it's max HP. Which, hey, that'd be the default set. Regardless, he Terra Fairies to make sure he KOs. And now he lost Noivern. And he only goes Nada Haze. So, missing Kane kind of sucked, because maybe Crocodile had a, like, Terra Poison Gunk Shot 50-50 it could have forced on Mew. Something like that. I think, personally, I would have tried not sacking multiple Pokemon. Because I don't think going Noivern really did a lot. You force the Terra, which is always kind of beneficial. I just question if that really matters at this point, now that you've lost both Plume and Noivern, you know? I think what I probably would have done is just sack Plume. Because, I mean, Plume's nice to have this game because of Tauros, but in theory, Noivern could have still checked it. I'd probably sack Noiv, if anything, but that's just me. However, I think you try to sack just one and didn't go Milo and Haze, it's just rough because, okay, now he hazes, but look, these just boosts again. So even as you flip, like, what are you going to? Now Reuniclus comes out, which is a fair response. Your Assault Vest, it boosts more. This is scary. And now it just does a million. Now this is where the hacks, I think, that comes in is, like, actually quite impactful. This crit here did matter. You gotta keep in mind, Draining Kiss is essentially the same power as Earth Power. You get the boost from Terastallizing to make any move lower than base 60 power up to 60, minus certain moves, but Draining Kiss is not one of those exceptions. And its stab takes up to 90. This would have actually lived an Earth Power. It would have gotten a hit off, and this Mew would have died here. Now, I'm not saying that would have mattered necessarily. The Reuniclus would have been at 6%. But just think, too, had he only sacked one Mon. Think for a second if he kept Noivern around, went Milo, hazed, then did this flip turn sequence. And we assume Skier plays it the same way. You can't know that for sure, but let's assume it. Shinjin would have, it'd be a 5v5 right now. One of these Mons being a Screamtail. So it's really a 5v4 in Shinjinier's favor, right? That's just kind of like the one thing I'm thinking about through this game, right? You could have had a lot better of an out, I think, at that point. But maybe not. This is also why I would love to see one of these two Mons alive still. Because, yeah, now Water Tauros just kind of clicks Wave Crash. And, I guess we could say you're getting waved off, Shinjin. Bye-bye, buddy. He CC's the Tentacruel. I'm very happy he killed this Tentacruel at least. Because this set was starting to offend me personally. I was taking, like, I was going to file a report with the Hog. Maybe even the International Court of Appeals. No, stop. Get rid of this now. Also, a little crit E-speed just to add insult to injury. It literally doesn't matter. Yeah, Tauros now comes out, wave crashes. He has to knock just because otherwise he can't win. But, is a little rover. And of course, yeah, sorry about the hacks, but it is what it is. Like, good mindset by Shinjinier. Recognizing it, you know what, at the end of the day, this is Mons, man. You know you're gonna get hacks every now and then. But I thought these were some fun games. Saw some fun teams. Saw some interesting happenings. Not the, like, best week of games, I wouldn't say. But I think this is probably the best game we got out of the week. Wadley just put on an absolute clinic. I thought Aravine, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say your name. But I thought, maybe Anfor, but it's back. Ooh, Rafna, Anfor, Aravine, I don't know. Regardless, I thought he did pretty well to at least try to keep this close, despite the God match Backstrix had. Still some fun games though. Like I said, I think the most interesting things to take a note were things like Red Card Klefki on HO to ease your matchup in the mirror versus other HO. And then just this fun sequence we saw here with the Lucaria. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.